People, here's the thing again. I hate the thought of living, but I think it's one of those things. There's a deterrence value. When people know you will, it changes how they behave.
From your perspective, when you start thinking, sometimes you're appalled.
I've been appalled enough times. I'm not surprised anymore.
That's where I'm at. Nothing surprises me. Nothing that a human can do. I got really shocked.
Y'all ready?
Yep.
Janet, you ready?
You gotta be kidding me.
Just because it was a bad job, make anybody impervious to bad decisions.
The City Council of the City of Gun Barrel City, Texas, will meet in a regular meeting at City Hall Council Chambers located at 1716 West Main Street, Gun Barrel City, Texas, on Tuesday, April 22nd, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. If you would please stand for the invocation. Dear Lord, we ask for your blessings on this team and that you give us great vision and enthusiasm for our work. Please bless the efforts of our hands and the influence of our work in Gun Barrel City and beyond. Lord, as we plan and share together now, may you guide us by your Holy Spirit and lead us all into truth. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call from my right, please.
Foster here.
Mullins here.
LaRue here.
Evans here.
Y'all's here.
We have quorum. Citizens' comments, we have a lot. We have about 13 tonight. So the purpose of this item is to allow citizens an opportunity to address the city council on items that are listed on the agenda or issues that are not listed on the agenda. Any person desiring to make a public comment must first be recognized by the presiding officer and sign at the podium with their name and address at least 10 minutes prior to the start of the meeting. Individual citizens' comments are limited to 3 minutes. The presiding officer may ask the citizen to hold their comment on an agenda item until that agenda item is reached. The city council has no obligation to respond in any manner to comments or questions from the public. Any response from a member of the city council to non-agenda comments is limited to a statement of specific factual information, a recital of existing policy, or direction to staff for follow-up. Does anybody want to speak now, or y'all all want to wait until the agenda item comes up? Doesn't matter to me. All right, we'll wait till then. Consent agenda, item 1A, all matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, and that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately, considering approving the following reports: City Manager Report, March Financials and Court Report, Permits, Inspections, and Code Enforcement, Streets and Park Maintenance, Police and Dispatch, Fire Report, March 7th, 2022 Special Meeting Minutes, March 14th, 2022 Workshop Minutes, March 22nd, 2022 Meeting Minutes, EDC Director's Report, EDC's February Financials, EDC March Financials, EDC March Minutes. May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to remove the permits, inspections, and code enforcement.
Permits, inspections, and code enforcement.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve everything else.
Second.
I have a motion to approve everything except permits, inspections, and code enforcement, which we'll pull out for further discussion. You just want to talk to the city manager on those later? Okay. And I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Vote for my right, please.
Foster, yes.
Mullins, yes.
LaRue, yes.
Evans, yes.
Y'all's yes.
Item 2A, discuss and/or take action to move the May 24th, 2022 regular city council meeting up 1 week to May 17th, 2022, due to the primary runoff elections being held at City Hall. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to take action to approve the May 24th, 2022 regular city council meeting up 1 week to May 17th, 2022, due to primary runoff elections being held at City Hall.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I think it's self-explanatory. A vote from my right, please.
Foster, yes.
Mullins, yes.
LaRue, yes.
Evans, yes.
Y'all's yes.
Item 2B, discuss or take action to approve the annual financial report for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2021. Mr. City Manager.
We received a report from our auditor, Misty Culpepper, and I'm missing the actual document that's sitting on my desk. Do you have a copy of that document with you, Mr. Mayor?
I'm sure I do. See, this is what, 2A?
2B.
2B.
Oh, I have that. A summary document that we were discussing earlier today.
Oh, the one that was sent to me?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I can take care of that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
This came from Misty Culpepper, and she asked that we share this with council today. Page 12 is a balance sheet. Total assets increased 30%, largely due to an increase in cash and cash equivalents. Large fluctuations in liabilities is due to some street repairs expenses sitting in accounts payable at year end, and $111,605 due to component unit represents the amount due to the EDC for sales taxes. Fund balance restrictions in place for culture and recreational, public safety, streets, debt service, and economic development. And currently have 287 days in unassigned fund balance. Now that's going to be currently into the year, I believe, September 30th, 2021. Prior year was 329. Page 13, which was the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. Total revenues increased by 17%. Sales tax revenue increased by 12%. Intergovernmental revenue increased by 174%. Expenditures increased by 30%. Various fluctuations throughout all departments. However, the largest increase were in the streets and the police departments. And then the budget versus actual for general fund. Total revenues were over budget by $1,544,940. Total expenditures were under budget by $1,012,500 with a net positive figure of $532,440 under budget. Do I have a motion on this? I do have. Okay, yeah. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, vote, oh, I do not have a motion. I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong page. Could I have a motion to approve the annual financial report, please?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to take action to approve the annual financial report for the fiscal year ending September 3rd, 2021.
Second.
And a motion and a second. Vote for my right, please.
Yes, Foster.
Mullins, yes.
LaRue, yes.
Evans, yes.
Dawes, yes.
Item 2C, discuss and/or take action to authorize the city manager to negotiate an hourly rate increase for legal services. Council, this is first time since 2014 that the city attorney has asked for an increase in his hourly rate. Mr. City Manager, was it $25 that he asked for?
Yes, that is correct. To go, yes, a $25 an hour rate increase for the attorney with, he's not going to alter the legal assistance rate.
Okay. So asking for an additional $25 an hour. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to authorize the city manager to negotiate an hourly rate increase for legal services.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion, questions, concerns? Vote from my right, please.
Foster, yes.
Mullins, yes.
LaRue, yes.
Evans, yes.
Dawes, yes.
Motion carries. Item 2D, discuss and/or take action to adopt ordinance number O-2022-006, adopting updated procurement policies and procedures. Ordinance number O-2022-006, an ordinance of the City Council for the City of Gun Barrel City, Texas, adopting procurement policies and procedures, providing a severability clause, providing a repealer clause, and providing an effective date. May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to discuss or take action to adopt ordinance number O-2022-006, adopting an updated procurement policy and procedures.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion or questions? Hearing none, vote for my right, please.
Foster, yes.
Mullins, yes.
LaRue, yes.
Evans, yes.
Dawes, yes.
Item 2E, discuss and/or take action to award bids for the Texas CDBG number 7220171 street reconstruction project. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to award bids for the TX CDBG number 7220171 street reconstruction project.
Second.
Questions or concerns?
Yes, I'd like to ask the city manager regarding this bid. It came in about nearly $70,000 above what the city had budgeted for. If we approve it, what's the source of the additional $67,800?
Well, the additional costs have to do with the increase in materials and labor. And what we really need to do as a city in the motion is that I have 2 letters from Schaumburg and Polk. We approved, or they approved, part of the bid, but the other part of the bid for some materials, they recommended that we reject it because the price was so high and at a much higher price than we could actually go purchase the materials for ourselves as a city. So the increased bid for the advanced paving was strictly because of the increase in materials and labor. Schaumburg and Polk recommended that we accept that bid because that's just kind of the cost of doing business, unfortunately, in today's time. They recommended that the materials only award, that we decline that. For example, the gravel bid for the base was bid at $46.87 a ton. We can buy that same material for $25 a ton as a city. The culvert prices that we received from a bid perspective were $1,400 per culvert. We can purchase that same culvert ourselves for $430. So we can purchase those items ourselves with our city contracts at a much lower rate. The recommendation is that the motion be to accept the hot asphalt award letter and the materials only letter that were provided by Schaumburg and Polk, accept them as worded so that we can move forward with the federal grant process.
So what is the source of the additional $67,800?
It is the cost of labor and materials. Advanced Paving, who received the award, the Schaumburg and Polk went out and solicited some references for them. They did great work, did what they said they would do, and were cooperative. That is the low bid that we received. Schaumburg and Polk believes that that is a competitive bid based on the circumstances. Even though it is higher than what was anticipated, they were the lowest of all the bidding. And again, their opinion is that is an acceptable price based on today's customary pricing for materials and labor.
So are the funds in the street department account right now to cover that increased bid?
Absolutely, and this is a community development block grant, so we have a match of, I believe, $55,000 is our contribution as a city. So by purchasing some of the materials, we're going to easily accommodate our $55,000 either in materials or in-kind services. So we will be able to easily fulfill our, I believe it's 15% matching funds for this project. We have the money in the street department fund to pay for the increased cost.
Mr. City Manager, just for clarity, this is a grant that we are being approved for, that we have a matching that we have to pay along with the amount that we're being provided. For the sake of the folks in the room who may not know, what is the total amount of the grant that we would be awarded if we pay the matching as it's offering and suggesting?
I'm not sure. I believe the total amount was $260,000. I don't have that.
Is that right there?
That's the price that they're charging, the low bid price, which exceeds the actual price of or cost of the original grant. So we're going to have to take some money out of our street sales tax fund to account for the project is more money than the grant provided for. But I think it's necessary for us to do those repairs in that area of the city. And we do have, I believe, somewhere approximately in the neighborhood of $700,000 in that street sales tax fund. So it's money well spent. The roads will get completed. They're just a little bit more expensive than we thought they would be 2.5 years ago when we applied for the grant.
So just to clarify, and thank you for your answer, just to clarify, we're being provided, if we accept this, a $260,000 road grant to pay for road repairs in the city of Gun Barrel, and we have a matching dollar amount, and that's what we're discussing tonight, is how much we're going to be paying for the matching amount, is that correct?
Well, it's actually accepting the award, which is above what we anticipated, but it is the low bid. So we have to have city council approve that expenditure. And then we are going to save a significant amount of money on the materials purchase because we're going to reject the bids that were received and we're going to purchase them out of our street sales tax fund ourselves.
So as I'm reading this, this gives us the opportunity to do approximately $260,000 worth of road work that we otherwise wouldn't be able to do. It's just going to be the matching money that we're going to come up with that we should be able to afford if we want to move forward with it.
Correct. Initially, when we applied for the grant, there was a minimum matching fund, and we're going to exceed that just because of the price of materials and labor. But it's still going to provide us with about $250,000 worth of work that the federal government is going to pay for.
Sounds easy to me. Thank you, sir.
So if I understand it correctly, since I made the motion, I'm needing to modify my motion to accept the bid by Advanced Paving of Dallas less the materials, and would decline the material bid.
Correct. And I have actual letters from Schaumburg and Polk that explain both. So if we just accept the materials-only award letter and hot asphalt award letter as written, then that would suffice, since they do recommend that we deny one and accept the other.
Gotcha. Then I will modify my motion to accept the bids based on the two letters from Schaumburg and Polk, the hot asphalt award letter and the materials-only award letter.
Second.
Any further discussion?
And just one more comment. Thank you to our city manager and our city staff for working so eagerly and aggressively to always seek out and search for new ways to improve our quality of life. And in this example, by repairing $250,000 worth of roads that we otherwise would not be able to through our own city funds. Thank you.
Vote from my right, please.
Foster, yes.
Mullins, yes.
LaRue, yes.
Evans, yes.
Gauge, yes.
Item 2F, discuss and/or take action to adopt ordinance number O 2022-010, establishing an application fee regarding a request for an amendment to the city's comprehensive plan. Ordinance number O 2022-010, an ordinance of the City Council for the City of Gun Barrel City, Texas, establishing an application fee regarding a request for amendment to the city's comprehensive plan, providing a severability clause, providing a repealer clause, and providing an effective date. May I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to discuss and undertake action to adopt ordinance number O 2022-010, establishing an application fee regarding a request for an amendment to the city's comprehensive plan.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Mr. City Manager, you want to clarify a little bit?
We have had multiple requests in the last several months to modify our comprehensive plan, to change zoning requirements, to change land use requirements. And we do not have anything that covers the expense that it takes to do that work. It takes a lot of time from the city secretary to go through this process. He has to provide a lot of documents. We have to actually pay our city attorney to prepare documents for us to provide to the city council. And this is just something that's taken a lot of time and effort, and we're not collecting any monies for that. So I just think recommendation from staff is that it's appropriate that we collect for at least some of the fees and some of the costs of doing that comprehensive plan review and submission and discussion for changes.
Any discussion?
What is the amount?
$300 per request.
So these are requests that would come from a business or a developer or someone like that?
Correct. They would come and ask for or propose a project. Maybe it's not recommended in the comprehensive plan, and then we do the research and provide it to you, their arguments. In order for them to utilize or to maybe move forward with their project, they may need a change in the comprehensive plan to allow for that type of development or project.
It's the logical first step when the zoning request doesn't match the land use. So it's no different than the research that would be done for a zoning change. Except it's free.
Yes, wasn't costing anything.
So planning and zoning will continue to do it free?
It's not planning and zoning, it's city staff.
Well, it will come before planning and zoning though, won't it, first?
Yes, and they're volunteers. Just like we are.
Other discussion?
Do y'all have anything on any other cities or other customary charges that are, or customary, what other cities charge for this same? Do y'all have any numbers on what other cities are charging for this?
I don't have the numbers, but Ms. Stillard may be able to relate. I know that she has contacted other municipalities, and that's quite common that they charge for those services.
I have done some research. Other cities' fees are comparable to their rezoning, so that's exactly what I did. Our rezoning is 300, so I just matched it.
Thank you.
Other discussion? Vote for my right.
Foster, yes?
Mullins, yes.
LaRue, yes.
Evans, yes.
Y'all's yes.
Item 2G, discuss and/or take action to interview applicants for the Planning and Zoning Commission and consider making appointments. I'll get there. Thank you. Ms. Kate Weller would like to speak on this subject.
I'm Kate Weller, and I'm Vice Chair of Planning and Zoning. Tonight's agenda has interviews both for Planning and Zoning Commission and Board of Adjustment. One applicant appears for consideration on both. Residents and businesses seeking a change in zoning or plating come first to the Planning and Zoning Commission, which provides council with an advisory vote on the change. If council denies that application, the resident or business can go before the Board of Adjustment for a rehearing. That board is a standalone board, and its ruling is final. I serve on both the Commission and the Board of Adjustment currently. I have long felt that there should be no overlap between the two entities. The Board of Adjustment should give to the resident or business a fresh set of eyes, ears, and minds. In fact, my term on Board of Adjustment ends this December, and I do not plan to reapply for just this reason. You may want to consider this as you appoint new members to the Planning and Zoning Commission and Board of Adjustment tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. We have two applicants. We'll let them both come up and introduce themselves, and then we'll ask for a nomination. Ms. Lisa Matthews.
Yes, sir. Hi,
Introduce yourself and
Lisa Matthews,
tell us what you...
resident of Gun Barrel City for the last year and 2 months.
All right. Anything else you want to tell us about yourself?
I've been a mortgage loan underwriter for 30 years, so I've been in the real estate sector with, title and things of that nature, so I thought I would be a good fit for that, being in the planning and zoning.
All right.
Since a lot of it's title and adjoining lots together and things like that, I could be of assistance with that.
Okay. Council, any questions of Ms. Matthews?
I have a question. Your application indicates that you did not, at the time of application, have your registration to vote in Gun Barrel City. Do you have that now?
I do.
Good.
Anything else?
I'm just glad to live here and want to help out the community.
Great. Well, thank you very much for volunteering, and appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
And Linda Tracy. Is Linda Tracy here tonight? Nope. Okay. Anybody, would council like to make a recommendation? Nomination?
We actually have 2 openings, don't we?
Is that correct?
It's just 1 opening or 2?
Janet, is there 2 openings or
There's 2 openings.
2 vacancies? Okay. Yeah.
According to the documents, yes.
I would like to make a motion that we appoint Lisa Matthews and defer Ms. Tracy until we can interview her.
Second.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
To appoint Ms. Matthews and defer Ms. Tracy until we can interview her.
So you're making a motion to appoint Ms. Matthews.
Correct.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Vote for my right.
Foster, yes.
Mullins, yes.
LaRue, yes.
Evans, yes.
Y'all's yes.
Motion carries. Item 2H, discuss and/or take action to interview applicants for the Board of Adjustments and consider making appointments. We have 3 folks that are interested. Linda Tracy, who is not here. So we'll go to Jim Sikoria. Jim, if you would go to the microphone. Introduce yourself and tell council about you.
Sure. I'm Jim Sikora. I live at 219 Seaside here in Gun Barrel. Lived here for a little over 2 years, and with my wife, and my daughter, and we enjoy it very much. We like the combination of the small town with the lake, and businesses, and been a managing partner in all 3 of those businesses. I was on the board, a managing partner on the 2nd largest advertising agency in Dallas, and also a board member of Make-A-Wish Foundation for 6 years. So during those times, we dealt with a lot of things like property issues and securing property, having to get things rezoned and things like that. Again, sitting as a voting member of a board, not actually any kind of legal team or anything like that. I wanted to be a little bit more involved in the community, and I thought this would be a great step for me. So, you guys have any questions for me?
Council?
Yeah, I have a few. Have you been contractually involved with the city of Gun Barrel in the past?
My business has been, yes.
That's your business?
Yeah,
Can
and
you
that,
tell us a little bit about that?
that was when we were talking about the ad valorem tax, and we did a little bit of just a couple of videos and things like that promoting. Actually, the word promoting is incorrect. The most we could do was inform about the issue. So we did some videos that informed that there's an ad valorem tax that was going to be on the ballot, and just described what that would mean, what those funds were going for. Those funds were going for firefighters, police, and road work. So that was the extent. That was, well, I think that was about 3 years ago, something like that. So it's, and that's the only contract I've had. And
Well, I think the Board of Adjustments is one of the more powerful boards that the city council would have, and the city would have, simply because by ordinance, the council provides standards and procedures to hear, but basically, you can hear appeals of administrative decisions, so this would be counseled, planning and zoning types of decisions, and authorizing specific cases of variance, and these do not come back to the council. They're final. So I think that this is very important. So I have a hypothetical question for you. If you're involved with the Board of Adjustments and a case brought by a private entity came forward to you that might include a public agency like EDC, how would you recuse yourself, or would you feel comfortable voting on that issue?
I guess it would depend on the circumstance. I certainly would try to recognize if there was an issue why I should recuse myself. But as I looked at the application, the way the question was worded was, can you be impartial? And I feel like, that, yeah, I can be impartial. I've had to do that throughout my career. And, I think I'm pretty good at hearing both sides of an issue and trying to come up with an answer. But certainly, if there seemed like something where I could not absolutely be impartial, I would consider recusing myself.
Thank you.
Just a clarification, the Board of Adjustment only hears zoning cases.
Correct.
Okay?
Any further questions for Jim?
Mr. Sikora, I saw some of your videos that I felt were very informative when we were having the discussion within the community about the ad valorem tax. I thought they put forth a very clear and unbiased, very informative message that the citizens were able to use to make their own decision. And the vote was obviously cast in such a way that everybody got what the will of the people represented. Sure. So very quality product. I thank you for that and for stepping up to volunteer. We really appreciate the help with that. The same to our previous applicant. I apologize I didn't say that to you, but thank you both.
Sure. Anything else?
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Larry Johannes?
My name's Larry Johannes. I'm a resident here in Gun Barrel City. I've lived here with my wife for the last 5 years, but I've been coming down to Gun Barrel for over 40 years as I have family here. I'm a business owner. I've got a degree in business marketing. I've worked in corporate marketing for over 35 years with companies like Siemens and Uniden and FMC. I care a great deal about this town. I'm one of the guys that feels like we need to preserve the small town feel that we have here, and at the same time, look at smart development so that we can continue to develop this town so that my kids and my grandkids have a place to grow up and live. And I'm looking to retire someday, if I can ever make that happen. But we're going to be here in Gun Barrel for a long, long time, and so we love to see what's happening in the city right now, and we love to be a part of that more. So that's why I'm up here.
Any questions?
Same. Has your company been contractually involved with Gun Barrel in the past?
Yes, sir, it has.
Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, Jim, I think, covered that pretty well. We were involved with the advertising and marketing on the ad valorem tax. It was unfortunate that we weren't able to take that to a vote during that time period. We feel like we developed some very nice work, but never really got a chance to push that through. So I could absolutely be impartial. I certainly care more about this town than I do about making decisions that benefit me or my family. I think that, yeah, absolutely. I have no doubt I could be impartial.
Thank you.
Any further questions or concerns? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. May I have a nomination?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a nomination to recommend both Mr. Sikora and Mr. Johannes to the Board of Adjustment.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Vote from my right.
Foster, yes.
Mullins, yes.
LaRue, yes.
Evans, yes.
Yaw's yes.
Item 3A, first reading of resolution number R 2022-006, approving a facade grant and performance agreement to R&R Enterprises, doing business as Gun Barrel City Pharmacy, in an amount not to exceed $3,579.50. Council, this will be first and last reading. Resolution number R 2022-006, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Gun Barrel City, Texas, approving a facade grant program and performance agreement by and between the Gun Barrel City Economic Development Corporation and R&R Enterprises Incorporated, doing business as Gun Barrel City Pharmacy, and providing for an immediate effective date. Item 3B, Discuss and/or take action to adopt Resolution Number R 2022-006, approving a facade grant and performance agreement to R&R Enterprises Incorporated, doing business as Gun City Pharmacy, in an amount not to exceed $3,579.50. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution R 2022-006, approving a facade grant performance agreement to R&R Enterprises, Inc., DBA Gun Barrel City Pharmacy, in amount not to exceed $3,579.50.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, did anybody from EDC or the R&R tell us how this will be used?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
Could we learn a little bit more about how the $3579 will be used in the facade grant? What do they plan to do?
Ms. Sikora?
Yeah, I thought the plans were in your packet. They show that they want to put in a drive-through signage and change the signage. They've moved their business from 198 over to Ann's Pharmacy, that location that's in front of Lowe's. And so they're changing out all the signage there for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Vote for my right.
Foster, yes?
Mullins, yes.
LaRue, yes.
Evans, yes.
Dawes, yes.
Item 3C, first reading of Resolution Number R 2022-007, approving a renovation grant and performance agreement to John David Westerfield Revocable Living Trust in an amount not to exceed $25,000. Resolution Number R 2022-007, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Gun Barrel City, Texas, approving a renovation grant program and performance agreement by and between the Gun Barrel City Economic Development Corporation and John David Westerfield Revocable Living Trust, and providing for an immediate effective date. That is the first reading. We'll have the second reading at our next meeting, along with the performance agreement. Item 4A, public hearing on a request to replat lots 11 through 13 and 26 in the Harbor Point subdivision belonging to Nutley and Nugent, physically located at 321 Coral Reef Street, into one lot, Lot 11R. May I have a public hearing is open. Would anyone like to speak? Public hearing is closed. Item 4B, discuss and/or take action to approve the replatting of lots 11 through 13 and 26 in the Harbor Point subdivision belonging to Nutley and Nugent, physically located at 321 Coral Reef Street, into one lot, Lot 11R. May I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve the replatting of lots 11 through 13 and 26 in the Harbor Point subdivision belonging to Lee and Wynn, physically located at 321 Reef Coral Street, into one lot, Lot 11R.
Second.
I have a motion to second. Any discussion? Vote from my right.
Foster, yes?
Mullins, yes.
LaRue, yes.
Evans, yes.
Dawes, yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 4C, public hearing on a request to amend the comprehensive land use plan and land use map of the city of the city for property adjacent to Highway 198. Mr. Westerfield, I believe you wanted to speak on this. And if you could hold it 3 minutes, Mr. Westerfield, we appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council. My name is David Westerfield. I am a commercial business owner in Gun Barrel City, owning the properties of 454, 456, Lot 32, Building 432 South Gun Barrel Lane, and recently 426, as well as Lot 61 in Tamarack. I have recently signed a contract with the city requiring me to, on Building 426, to have a sales tax revenued stream business in that building. All of the businesses along the, east side of that are all commercial businesses. The west side is gone under contract several times, and it's been turned over a couple of different times. I spoke with one of the previous owners today, and she informed me that she had sold her part of the company to a developer from Dallas, I know that one of the realtors in the Gun Barrel City area has recently purchased some acreage across over there, which she plans to develop some storage areas. I believe that Tamarack is being hidden by the commercial residences. Not residences, but the commercial entities along 198. God is not developing any more dirt. We are built upon retail sales tax. And when I read in the ordinance that it is becoming a apartment complex, trailer park, or whatever it may become, changing it from commercial to residential is giving away land. And I just can't see that happening. I'm not a voter in Gun Barrel City. I don't have a voice in Gun Barrel City. I'm merely a commercial entity. But please do not give away dirt. That we as a city depend on retail sales tax to continue to make our city what it is. There's 4 ways to get into the city. From the south, you come across a brand new bridge. From the west, you come across a brand new bridge. From the north, you come through Maybank. There's plenty of dirt. Let them have it. Payne Springs, there's plenty of dirt. Let them have it. You talk about commercial entities on the east side. No, nobody is going to drive out there to retail shop. Industrial, yes. Commercial, no. It's not going to happen. I've spent a lot of personal money with the assistance of the EDC and the council to build a reputable business in this community. And I ask you, please do not rezone this land.
Thank you, Mr. Westfield. Appreciate it. See, Mr. B.G. Pierce?
Good evening. Thank you for taking time to let us come and speak before the council. Before I get started, I agree with David 100%. What I can't figure out is, has anybody on the council seen this plan presented to them, 10 pages? Okay. My client here, who has a contract on that property, approached the city about doing retail restaurants and up front with a combination of an RV park being attached. She asked for a zoning. That's going down the wrong path. It would be a change to the comprehensive plan. So somewhere there was a disconnect between either Mike Callagher talking to him about the zoning requirements, or the city manager communicating back, or even the P&Z contacted and said, why are y'all looking at this? I've been in Gun Barrel 22 years. I've known Rita 15 years ago. I was helping the EDC. I know David. I'm not doing that as a leverage. It's just, I don't know why we are where we're at today when y'all aren't looking at the whole picture that was being presented at the ground floor. And it's just not fair that this process has gone completely this far up, and it's nothing about residential. Yes, she does want to put an RV park on the back of it, but that B2, that land over there is way too big for a B2 business to go on 198. We want to put retail and service businesses right down 198, and then back up on the back part of it, enclose it, turn it into a park-like setting with a high-end RV. So it's a combination of two. So we kind of look like we've got egg on our face for the way we've approached this. I know how to do it better, but I would have leaned on city managers and people that saw this in the pipeline to have done a timeout. And I couldn't figure out why the P and Z had such a blank look on their face when we came in. I get it now. So that's what I have to say about this process. I'll let Ms. An speak to you, but we really need a different day of representing this in a correct form and fashion that'll work with the city's long-term comprehensive plan without overhauling. But you do have 600 feet deep lots. There's not a retail or a B2. And I think David would agree with me on that. We need to enhance his business. He's put in a ton of money in that corridor. And we can enhance that with non-competitive businesses that will bring in to add to his. So I'm right behind him with what he said. But that wasn't the story we came here to tell.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions?
Well, thank you for that clarification. To my knowledge, the council has not seen the plan.
Do what?
To my knowledge, we have not seen the plan.
Evidently not. And if this was submitted and this plan was drafted up, I think we might have had a discussion that we would involve, I'm not going to be rude and say a waste of time, but we wouldn't be up here like apples and oranges when I think we're all on the same page. We just need to redo it, come in cleaner with it and say, okay, here's phase one. Come back and say, but we want to do phase two, which would be a change in that area, but it'll be off of the roadside of it, back up and improve that property, improve the drainage, put in streets. And, you know, we're not here asking for anything from the city of Gun Barrel financially. We're just trying to work to conform that into a working piece of property. I had that listing for over 5 years, and this is the first interest we've had in it. I'm not the listing agent, but I was. Robert Render's the listing agent. We worked countless hours trying to work this out, so I don't know how we do it, do-over or start over, but I think common sense will prevail. We probably need to go back through the process.
I agree.
Okay. Okay. I would like you to meet on for 1 minute, and I'll give my time up to her.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ann Nguyen. I'm a little more nervous. This is my first time standing on the front of the city council like this. I am my original Vietnamese. I and my family, both my side and my husband's side, Andy over there, I come to the United States in 1991. How my family can come to the United States because of the Vietnam War. And both my dad and my father-in-law was the Vietnamese, South Vietnam War prisoner because of the Vietnam War, and we from the South. So my dad was 13-year prisoner, and my father-in-law was 5-year prisoner in the Vietnam War. We came to the United States because of the United States government sponsor us to come here. So first of all, we really appreciate that I can stand here and present to you a business that I am about to ask for your permission because with Vietnam, we can never do that. My family was the poorest family in my hometown because my dad was in prison for 13 years. And I am the only one in 5 children in my family that I can go to school. And I continue to come here at the age of 17 back in 1991. I don't know any English, not even 1, 2, 3, or ABC. So I continue the school here with ESL. And I be able to finish my bachelor degree in management at UT Dallas. So I really appreciate the America giving us, my family, the opportunity. So as of back in 1991 until now, throughout here and there, difficult, challenge, and 8 years ago, me and my husband was a small business owner in Taos, in city of Garland. We have a machine shop in city of Garland. At first, we have the business. It's a small business that only 2 employees, and now we have up to 10 employees. When we first got the property in City of Garland, the property is very undervalued. And the electric is out of date, so we have to, and I talked to the City of Garland, and like today, I have not have a chance to go through that phase yet, but I hope I will, because I have to talk to my husband. He's an electrical engineer graduate from Texas A&M. So he had to work with the City of Garland Engineering Department and Planning, so we can have the property to turn into the business that electrical, water, parking lot wasn't on approval to do it. But we've been sitting with them months to ask for the permission. Like BG just say, we have a chance to present to the city, to the official that can help us and go through the correct way that we cooperate with the city to do the right way to turn into a business. That's how we got the business up to 10 employees that now I am the business women owner, and we are minority. Now my business, my machine shop business is, I apply for the ISO and AS 9100 in order to work for the government job. So we have to sit and we have to go through the engineering, planning, zoning department in City of Garland to help us to go through of that, and we are cooperate and do everything that we can to make our business back in town. I'm sorry to say that, but it's related to today, just like BG say, we would like to have a RV park. I am a city of, my second resident here back in 1918. I have a property here in City of Gun Barrel. It's on, I'm not really know the property, but it's on Wells Street, go all the way to Oak Harbor subdivision. So how do I know City of Gun Barrel? Me and my husband, we love to fishing.
Could you wrap it up, please? We're running out of
Yes.
time. Thank you.
Oh, my time is up.
No,
So
you can finish up.
we come here because we love fishing, and we fish at the bank at the Gun Barrel, right at the bridge, and then we love the city. We love the tree, the green, the water. So up until now, we're interested in the property that BG is listing, and we want to turn that property into nice, beautiful RV. We walked through, me and my husband walked through step by step throughout the property in the back, and we know that there is a creek run across the property. So it's really difficult to do any other business. That's what I think. But we want to turn in that to the nice, beautiful, and of course, I'm going to cooperate with the city to turn that property into a nice and beautiful RV park,
Okay.
if I can have a chance.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak in the public hearing? Public hearing is closed. Item 4D, discuss and/or take action to adopt ordinance number 2022-005, amending the comprehensive land use plan and map for property adjacent to Highway 198. Ordinance number 2022-005, an ordinance of the City of Gun Barrel City, Texas, amending the comprehensive land use plan and land use map of the city, providing for a penalty for the violation of this ordinance, providing for repealing, saving, and severability clauses, providing for an effective date of this ordinance, and providing for the publication of the caption hereof. If I understood correctly, y'all wanted us to not vote on this tonight, but to come back with some plans? Is that?
If that's acceptable, it could be tabled. I think that would be the best thing for everybody involved.
Okay, I will say this, that, you know, on the issue tonight, it's the zoning of the property. So the plans are, I guess, I mean, did y'all submit those did y'all receive those, Mr. City Manager?
No, sir. We have a comprehensive plan that the city spent a significant amount of money on. So we have to change the land use before we can consider the rezoning of the property. So that was the purpose of this agenda item, was to change the comprehensive plan suggestion for the use of that property. So until that changes, the plans that they've proposed or the idea that they proposed cannot go onto that property based on the comprehensive plan suggestion. So we have to take it in processes, and it takes time. There are steps involved that we follow as city staff, and we do not have the authority to jump those stages. They're in place for a reason. And
I think there were also some missteps, if I understood City Secretary right, in the P&Z process as well. So I'm not sure I wouldn't support us just sending this back to P&Z and starting over with it. I mean, I think that's what Ms. Evans said as well. So, okay. Could I have a motion to that effect?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to propose that we send this action back to the Planning and Zoning Committee for further deliberation before we take action at the council level.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Vote for my right.
Foster, yes.
Mullins, yes.
LaRue, yes.
Evans, yes.
Y'all's yes.
All right, item 4E, public hearing on a request to rezone lots 28 and 29 in the Lambs Retreat subdivision, physically located at 102 Jeffrey Circle in the AB 282 West Hockaday Survey, Henderson County, Gun Barrel City, Texas, from single-family detached residential district R4 to general business district B2. Public hearing is open, and I have a host of folks that would like to speak. I am going to ask that you keep it to 3 minutes. We'll start Mr. Paul Newman. I would also ask that we try to keep this to what's the topic, which is the rezoning.
Absolutely, yeah. First off, thank you very much for letting me speak. My name is Paul Newman. I own a property at 117 Jeffrey Circle, just down the street from here. I am a full-time resident there. Been there for several years, renovated the property, and I'm a voting member here in Gun Barrel. I am opposed to the zoning change. The zoning change and the associated commercial development will change the essential character of it's a very old and established neighborhood there, Lambs Retreat. The change brings the commercial buildings that they are wanting to put there. Further down the west, down a very narrow street, there's a lot of residential homes on that street, located very close to the street boundary. Any parking lots and parking entrances on that residential street also will increase the chances of patrons of that commercial property using Jeffrey Circle for parking during the events. And apparently there's going to be some very large events there with concerts and things like that. So that's a big concern of mine. The street's far too narrow for any additional parking. I urge the council to please keep the commercial area contained to where it is. Use care in approving any changes to the existing residential roads and associated with the commercial lots. And also please enforce the current zoning ordinances which protect the residential neighborhoods.
Thank you very much. Mr. Scott Clark.
Good evening. My name is Scott Clark. We have an address of 11 Gale Drive. Our family's owned that since 1998. My father-in-law bought it, so now there's 3 adults. We have 12 children, and we have 4 grandchildren. And so last year we decided to tear the double wide down, and we're just starting to break ground for a new house going up to house 24 of us. So it's very family-oriented gathering at that 111 Gale Drive. And so we're very concerned about, we're right across the street from the plans where the Circle, the hotel will be. So we're very concerned about the traffic, very concerned about the noise, I guess, at our level with the grandkids, and also just the lights coming in and out of there, which would shine right into our new home that we're building. So I'd like to keep the rezoning to where it is.
Thank you. Ms. Burnson? Mr. Burnson?
It's made for tall people, for sure. There it is. My name's Jay Burson. I live at 105 Gill Drive. I just wanted to, I know y'all kind of know what my opposition, I'm in opposition to this, but I wanted a few things because I've got some people who want to say what I wanted to say. But I just want everybody to understand that I'm a full-time resident there, and I'm concerned that this thing is going forward and not taking the residents into consideration. I'm not against development. I'm all for that, but it's also a residential street, and if they're going to go to the trouble of doing this, then a barrier needs to be constructed from the residential street. If you go look at the R4 egress and ingress and all the stuff on there, when you go from business to from the R4 to the B2, it makes explicit things about egress, off-site parking coming onto residential streets, and so it's in direct violation of that, the covenants that or the bylaw or whatever you call it, the rules you have for the egress and ingress off the street. The only thing I ask is I don't want to stop the project, but we need a privacy wall to keep the headlights, the people out of our property, the headlights. I just purchased a house there. I came down there to make my dream home. I put a new home in there, and that's all we need is a bunch more traffic. We already got plenty of looky-loos that come down the street. Go down the cul-de-sac, and if you use the hotel entrance where you have it, the people are going to make the wrong turn. They're going to have to go that little cul-de-sac, and everybody's going to get hit with the headlights, and the street just can't handle what y'all have or what's been proposed by the developer. And what made me in high opposition, the last meeting that we had here, I was confronted, or the developer came to me and I was talking to him and he said he wanted to be neighborly, but he said that there would be a wall. That would be absolutely, there would not be a wall. That was the exact words out of his mouth. Absolutely, there will not be a wall between us and the residents. And from that point, I will fight it tooth and nail. Every opposition I can get, all the way down to getting a petition started. I know the numbers. I've got legal counsel. If I have to go to the voters with this, I will. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Jay Burnson? That was you, right? Renetta. I'm sorry. Yeah, got it.
Good afternoon. I'm here today reading on behalf of Donna Cooper. She has some health issues and couldn't join us this evening. I have been a resident of Jeffrey Circle for 23 years. In that time, I have noted issues that were deliberately ignored by city personnel. When the old Big Chief Landing Complex went out of business, those issues were resolved. Now the proposed Pier 334 is poised to resurrect those same issues. In years past activities at the old Big Chief Landing, it drew people in the location, large numbers for special events, i.e. bikini contests, etc. Vehicles were parked on vacant land, behind land, everywhere, all the way through Jeffrey Circle, where we couldn't get in, couldn't get out, etc. Personally, I'm not looking forward to such problems again, and there's no way you can promise any of us, the residents of Jeffrey and Gale, that this will not happen again. Large-scale public events will result in traffic issues, just as they have in past years. It would be foolish on everyone's part to assume that there will be no large-scale public events at Pier 334 as is building for that purpose. Years ago, attempts to obtain help from the Gun Barrel City Police Department regarding traffic issues directly caused by the large-scale public events were to no avail. Police personnel were, and she quotes, too busy working the bikini contest to be concerned with residents' parking issues. That is a direct quote from the 911 operator I was unfortunate enough to contact. She was correct. Nothing was done. Not only were these parking issues ignored, fire department and ambulance services also became issues and disregarded and deemed unimportant. Neither Gale nor Jeffrey Circle are wide streets. Both are old surfacing, and new street surfacing have made them even narrower where it transitions. Even now, two cars cannot pass side by side. Someone must pull to the side, whether you're in a neighbor's grass or maybe you're on the easement. In the planning sitting, she references there is no way a fire truck and ambulance can access people and properties on either side of the street where they're covered with unattended vehicles. Is the city planning to enlarge the two streets to accommodate the additional traffic generated by the customers of said Pier 334? Is the city willing to accept liability for the loss of life and/or property due to ignoring a very obvious traffic issue, a long-standing duration?
Could you wrap it up, please, ma'am? Running out of time.
Okay. I tell you, I will submit this. I can amend and submit to the council, please.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
If you'll just give it to the city secretary, she'll take care of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Mitchell? I don't know who your neighbor is, so. John Paulson? Go right ahead, sir.
I'm John Paulson and lived on Jeffrey Circle since 1988. My wife and I bought our home there. And when we bought it, we were looking at the restrictions that take place on Lamb's Retreat, and it's been noted or recorded in Book 4, pages 53 and 54 of the plat records of Henderson County, A-282. And the main reason I'm bringing this up is because the number one restriction on this particular item is all lots shall be known and described as lots for residential purposes only. Said lots shall not be used for business purposes of any kind, nor for any commercial, manufacturing, or apartment house purposes. So when this Lamb's Retreat was first set up, there were restrictions added to the properties. And that first restriction says you cannot change it over to a business type property. That's all I have. I'd like to put this in as
Thank you.
Part of the. Sir, may I have a question? Are you talking about a deed restriction on the, that came?
It's a restricted covenants for the land subdivision. That's recorded in Henderson County.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks, sir. Thank you. So it's deed restriction.
Dr. Mitchell?
I'd like to start out by saying I'm a 90-year-old great-grandma, and I'm not used to standing on a soapbox and hollering, but I'm ready to do it about this project.
Okay, Dr. Mitchell, I just want to remind you, there's a 3-minute limit on this, so.
I understand.
Okay,
And I'll
thank
try to just take that.
I was
If you will look at plan, I played paper dolls with the plan that I saw, that I still understand that that's not the final plan, but the one that I did, I took their plan and made it feasible so that it won't bother the residents on Gale and Lamb's Retreat subdivision there on Jeffrey Circle. All of that property on Jeffrey has waterfront property, and we're real proud of that. We don't have neighbors wanting to come across our yards and go out on our docks or go off our walls swimming. We don't have that problem. Everybody down on Lamb's Retreat has waterfront property only, and so we don't have that problem. And if you take away these 2 lots, it's disturbing our numbers, and we feel very close in our neighborhood. Witness the many people from our neighborhood who've come talk to y'all tonight. We're up in arms about all the noise and all the problems that we can foresee coming from the plan that I saw. So I played paper dolls with it, and that's what you have in your hands, taking that hotel off of the access to Jeffrey, putting it over there where the big parking lot's supposed to be next to the liquor store. And that little hotel has that big parking lot to build a bigger hotel. When I'm envisioning a high-rise hotel on that lot, on that parking lot next to the liquor store. If we had a 6-story hotel, they would have a 3-point view of the lake and water from every window from 3 sides. And move the parking lot away from Jeffrey, put it over there near Big Chief Landing, and keep Big Chief Landing. We need that landing. We've used it. It's a historical thing down here at Cedar Creek. That landing was put in a long time ago when the lake was first opened. And Big Chief Landing is like a historical landmark as far as I'm concerned. And it was wonderful when the city bought that land and gave free access to the landing. But I don't object to them putting a price on it once they have a building, a building complex there, but keep the landing. I've shown on my little map, my paper doll map, we have parking places for the boats and the trailers, the ramp, keeping many of the things that they've already wanted, and then also on the west end where you're planning to take our 2 lots away, that little swimming area or play area with the fountains, and I'm not sure what all it's going to be, but that could be moved over so you don't even need those 2 lots.
Could you wrap
So
up?
what I've done is rearranged what they already have planned into something that we can all accept. One last thing, please close Big Chief Drive. That's an area that is dangerous for access to that property. And you don't want all these people coming in and out of that particular drive with the bridge so close by. Oh, I thought it was just the last thing. One more thing before you send me away. I'm a tree hugger. And all those trees that are up on the hill, I counted them. There's over 60 native oak trees on that land on the top. They're beautiful trees. That was one thing that attracted me to my property it's down there. And I just hate the idea of losing those trees. Well, when you move the hotel, you're going to have to move the parking lot, so the parking lot won't need to be where it currently is on the map that I saw. on
Thank
the
you, Dr.
plat.
Mitchell.
Now, I know that was not the final plat, but now you've got mine to consider. Put mine with whatever they create, and mine settles a lot of the sound problems, a lot of the egress and entrance, the problems that we're having. And I think the hotel people will like the idea of putting a high-rise, beautiful hotel with a 3-point view of the water. And now the first floor, I understand. And the second floor is going to be looking over the top of the liquor store. We can't help that, but they're going to be looking at the lake. They're not going to be worrying about that liquor store.
Okay.
And as the hotel keeps
Dr.
going
Mitchell,
up higher.
let's wrap it up. You're at 6 minutes
I'm sorry.
now.
I could go on and on.
If you would
You've
wrap
got
it
my
up,
paper
thank you very much.
diagram.
I appreciate
Enjoy.
it. Thank you. Gene Conley. Thank you, Dr. Mitchell.
Hey there. I'm Gene Conley. I live at 129 Jeffrey Circle. I'm probably the newest resident in the whole area. And like a lot of the people you've seen come up here, we are all very passionate about how this new property and how it's going to be used. The thing that stands out to me, which is some of the worst things, is the way the property is designed, the way I was shown all this, is different than what the last page they gave me. And this is just poor design on the side of theirs. What even Maria is saying, it's just real poor design. There's no reason for this property to come up and have 5 ingress and egress points on our street. 5. What's the point of having 5 on our street? You're gonna have to redesign our street if you do that. Put the wall up, change the way that people come into this facility, bring them in off Big Chief Drive. Don't bring them down our road. I mean, our road cannot support that. Trust me, we have holes and potholes from regular pickup trucks coming down our road. What they're proposing here is to put the sanitation part of the hotel directly looking at my neighbor's house. He's gonna have to smell that every single day in front of his house. Who wants to have the dump, where they're gonna put the trash dumps right out your front door? Put a wall. Give us a wall. Give us something. That's all we're really asking for. We're not saying, hey, we don't want this place. This would be great. Talk about drinking and driving. I can walk there. It'd be great. But the problem really is just you got to block us off. You got to do something to help us residents, because that drive will constantly have people doing circles down it and coming back. One after another, doing a circle, coming back. Our road we can't support it today. The road has already got all kinds of holes and potholes and everything in it. We just can't support it. So my suggestion to the city is to take a look at the zone, the planners, and say, hey, listen, redesign this so you're not using 5 ingress points on our street. That's really all we're asking, is to help us out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilmoth?
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm opposed to this because there's no need to rezone what you don't need. Why? Because the hotel on the site plan we're looking at, it's in the wrong place. It needs to be on the east side of the property facing west, because the way they have the hotel now, it's facing northwest and a beautiful view of a bridge. If y'all remember the bait bucket back in the day, there was an awesome view straight west, you know, and anyway, and not to mention the northwest winds coming in the wintertime right directly into this thing. If you're going to make it a year-round destination, it would be better to have it facing west, because for one thing, with a northwest orientation, you're going to get no south wind during the summer and all the north wind during the winter. And really, if we do a little adjusting on the development on the property, it's going to accomplish three things. It'll save Y&S some money. It'll be better highway access from Big Chief Drive or, the parking lot, whatever. And it'll keep the noise and the traffic off of a dead-end residential street, which is Gale Drive, Jeffrey Circle. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Karen Morrow? Yes, sir. Well, I still got other people that are waiting to talk. You've already spoke, so.
My name is Karen Morrow. I live at Big Chief, and my brother lives on Big Chief. I've lived there 15 years. He's lived there over 25. And I totally sympathize with all of you people on Jeffrey and understand their problem. Mine, of course, the parking lot that they're proposing, I'm looking out my front door, and it's going to be basically across the street from me. But the whole project itself is going to bring in so much traffic into that area, which is all the streets in that area are small. It's all a residential area. When we bought our property, my brother bought his, was with the understanding that it was a residential area and would always be in a residential area. No times change. Know that that is a perfect property and all the benefits that could be from it. But there's not a person that lives in that area that has not lived in that area and bought property in that area with the understanding that we all retired there and with the understanding that our kids, our grandkids would be safe, and it is a safe area to live in, and that it would be that way for many years to come. This would take that off the table. Our quality of life would be nothing compared to what it is now. My grandkids can come out and walk down the streets. Everyone in Jeffrey, their kids can walk the streets and they're safe. And we don't have to worry about them. With that kind of traffic coming into that area and parking lot there, the hotel there, that's all, we wouldn't have that safety. And the additional clutter and loitering and all that comes with that kind of traffic, we would be exposed to. And we would just like to think that our needs and our way of life would be considered in something, because we've put a lot of time, a lot of money, our love and care into Gun Barrel, and we love it here. And that would take our quality of life out of our control. And someone talked about the small town feeling, and that's one of the things that everyone loves about Gun Barrel, and for us, it would be gone. When Big Chief Landing was there many years ago, when on the weekends, their parking would be down everybody's street. There was no way, there was barely room for one car to get through when they were down there. And they would always they would also generate into Jeffrey. And that was just with one little
20 seconds, please.
thing. But anyway, I would like for you to take our consideration into all of this when you're making your decision.
Thank you very much. William Blake?
I've owned property on Jeffrey Circle since 1994, and I bought it with the intention of retiring there one day. I live in Kaufman, but it's 24 miles from there to my house, and my wife was going to retire in a year and a half, and we're going to build a house. We're going to tear down what's there and build a house there, and now I'm like, I just don't know what to do, because I know it's commercial property. I was at the planning and zoning guy. He said, it's been that way for years. I'm like, yeah, it has, but it didn't include these two lots that are basically now maybe 100 feet from where I'm planning on building a house. And I look at this, they gave it to me at the planning and zoning meeting and said, service area. So that's going to be facing my house. I heard somebody say, we're gonna have big dumpsters sitting there after a weekend worth of partying going on over here and people staying at the hotel. I asked at the planning and zoning, I said, the streets are, it's not gonna come down Jeffrey Circle. They said no, but then I'm looking at this and I hear people saying there's 5 entry and exits on Jeffrey Circle. Is that true? Do y'all know?
There are no plans at this point in time.
There are no plans.
There are no plans.
Oh, well, the guy.
What y'all are looking at was an abstract drawing of what was sketched out for a basic plan, but there are no detailed plans at this point.
Well, I just.
That was given to P and Z as something for them to kind of go by as to what was being proposed for the.
Okay, well, I didn't know, because then the man also told me, he said, that really just the edge of the building, maybe the overhang was gonna go onto these lots. But when I look here, it goes almost through the whole lot. It goes 90 feet, the hotel into the first lot there, so.
And I'll clarify a little bit. I won't say there's no plans. There's no firm plans. There's been no plans brought to P and Z for the buildings.
And
There's been
my
no
thing is.
plans brought to the city staff or to the city council yet for the buildings.
Yeah, I would go ahead and just say that if you drive down Jeffrey Circle, you should go down there before you make a decision on that. You should drive down that street and see how tight the streets are. My water meter is probably less than 3 or 4 feet from the edge of the road. It's already been run over by somebody across the street who's renting their house out by the day already. So people are parking all over the place. And I just feel like it's, if you live down there, if all y'all live down there, if you try to take your boat down to the end and just make a turnaround at the end of the dead end street, it's can be impossible some days. Depends on the parking and people that are already there trying to visit. Everything's just real tight. But I guess that's all I wanted to say. I asked the Planning and Zoning Committee if they couldn't make it the entry in from Big Chief into this property, and maybe even make it private in and out for Jeffrey Circle. And they said, well, that makes a private street, and that's a public street, and you can't do that. But I don't know, with all the owners here, we might consider something like that. Maybe we could close that street, and we would have to fund the money to keep the street paved, but over the years, I think it's only been paved once in the last 15 years that I can think of. So, but I just feel like if I'm going to retire there, I'm going to have to wait and see what you're going to do, because if, like they say, if you start having events, I can just see people parking all up and down that street, and you're not even going to be able to get in and out. So I guess that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Mr. Stephen Haynes?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, councilmen, and neighbors. My name is Stephen Haynes, and I've been coming down to this lake since 2002, and I live in Trinidad. I'm a full-time resident there. Recently moved in the last 2 years. My wife and I moved from Dallas and relocated down here permanently. Just a little history very quickly of how I got here, and I'm talking to all of you. Big Chief Landing was built in 1966. It consisted of a hotel, a restaurant, bar, a marina, and retail. It operated without interruption until it was closed 47 years later in 2013. It was purchased in 2016 by the EDC for the purpose of stimulating economic development in the community. The property was looked at for several purposes for the next 3 years, and no actions were taken. So it sat there and it just deteriorated and finally was demolished. In 2020, Gun Barrel created their 20-year comprehensive plan. In creating the plan, they surveyed all of Gun Barrel residents and sponsored workshops. And the surveys went out to everybody, and they got hundreds and hundreds of responses, and the workshops, from what I understand, were full. The comprehensive plan is available on the city's website. And if you go to page 228 of the plan, and it summarizes what the citizens of Gun Barrel said and what they wanted or needed. The citizens said they wanted, and this is for, in addition to better police and better fire, what they wanted on the lake was, 1, they wanted lakefront dining. 2, they wanted public access to the water. 3, they wanted a hotel, and 4, they wanted water sports. So now, fast forward to 2021, I was introduced to the EDC with the hope of doing some business in the city here. And in our discussions with the EDC, they expressed a desire to use the land that they own to provide the citizens with exactly what they had asked for in the comprehensive plan. So in conjunction with the EDC on a unanimous vote, it was agreed that we would build or rebuild exactly what had been there all those years prior. We would build a much better hotel than was at the Big Chief. We would build a retail space. We would build multiple restaurants, and we would build access to the water in the case of a new marina. The reason for asking that these lots be included in the project is actually so that we could reduce any perceived impact to our neighbors, provide more public space, and more water access. The land that is there has been used for this purpose for literally 50 years, 47 years running and 3 years sitting fallow. And what we would like to do is restore it to its original splendor for all of the people in Gun Barrel and the people in the lake. The plan that you all are up in arms about is the first step in a process when you develop a project, which is you've got to come to the city that you're going to do business with, and you have to give them some concept of what we're going to build and why. How many rooms, how many seats for a restaurant. Then you kind of work backwards with the city and say, okay, we have this many seats in restaurants, which means we have to have this many parking spots. Do we have enough room? And you scale things up and down to make sure it fits. Then you sit down with the city attorneys and the city engineers and you say, here are the general buildings, what fits? Add on top of that Encore and the water company and the sewer systems, and you've got to place everything around so that you can drink and you can flush a toilet and you can see the water and you can enjoy yourself. That includes parking, that includes roads. The plan that was circulated was an early version that was done by Eve Hopin, which is one of the architects we use, to see if all of this would fit and how big things could be. The city won't let us put a 6-story building in, right? I would have loved to, right? Well, this one is perceived 3, but it's perceived to be dug into the hill. So the ground floor is actually in the ground. So it's only 2 stories tall. So I absolutely am, because we had to have grading plans and we had to have topography plans and engineering plans to make sure this all fits together. So I understand the complaint about the roads, and we took that under advisement at the EDC meeting, and the comments that went to the architects and the engineers that you haven't seen were exactly your comments. And we don't know what's coming back yet because we haven't seen it, because they're sitting with the city's engineer, our engineers, and another architecture firm. So while I do appreciate the fact that this changes the life you've had for the last 3 or 4 years, it's not going to change the life you had for the 47 years prior. In fact, we intend to make it better. And when you bought your properties, for the most part, you all knew that this existed there, and it had been there for a very long time. And I hope that the people that come and visit our facilities once they're completed don't park on your street. I hope that they stay in the parking lots and do all the right things, but you've got city services like police to enforce anyone who breaks the law, right? If we have to increase the size of the road, the city engineers are going to tell us that. If we have to change the structure of where the buildings sit, the architects are going to tell us that. Right? This isn't the final version, and we all intend to sit down with you and discuss it all. I've built projects around the country, many of them. One of them I built in Lake Tahoe, which is one of the toughest places in the world to build because of exactly these reasons. And we're able to have, months of meetings with the citizens and come up with solutions that work for everybody. And there's a beautiful development on Lake Tahoe that made everybody happy. And because of it, everyone has enjoyed themselves and their property values have gone up. We hope to do the same with y'all. I don't want you to see me as the enemy. I don't want you to work on this on just innuendo and rumors. And I wish I had something that I could show you that says was final, but I don't. And I'm happy to talk to each and every one of you. I live here. I'm around all the time. If you want to call the EDC, Robin can find us some room and we can sit down and we can chat, which is part of the plan.
Mr. Haynes?
Yep.
Time's about up, but I did have a question I wanted to ask you. I mean, what we're here for today is just really the two lots.
Yes, sir.
All the discussion on parking, trees, buildings is all premature. You and I had a conversation, I think it was this afternoon, that you said something about that, that was the intent of buying that, because I know you bought it late in the process, was more of a buffer between the development and the residents. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's correct. The lots 28 and 29, one has the house on it, which has got some issues with the house, but we intend to take that down, and that's going to be turned into green space for the most part. I think a beach is intended depending on the final plans. Then the second lot is vacant right now, but it's on their property.
Okay.
That abuts to another vacant lot. So the concept was if we could keep as many vacant lots as possible between us and our neighbors and put up a large hedgerow, or, if we had to put up, walls or something, it can be done, and it would act as a buffer.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you.
Thanks.
Serge, you had something else you wanted to add? You're okay, good, thank you. Anyone else have a comment, public hearing? That's all I had signed up for it. Okay, public hearing is now closed. Item 4F, discuss and/or take action to adopt ordinance number 2022-007, rezoning lots 28 and 29 in the Lambs Retreat subdivision physically located at 102 Jeffrey Circle in the AB 282 Hockaday Survey, Henderson County, Gun Barrel City, Texas, from single-family detached residential R4 to general business district B2. Ordinance number 2022-007. An ordinance of the City of Gun Barrel City, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map as heretofore amended to grant a change in zoning from single-family detached residential district R4 to general business district B2 for lots 28 and 29 in the Lambs Retreat subdivision physically located at 102 Jeffrey Circle, situated in the AB 282 West Hockaday Survey, City of Gun Barrel City, Henderson County, Texas, more specifically described by plat attached hereto, marked Exhibit A, providing a severability clause, providing for the repeal of all ordinances in conflict, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date. May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we table this ordinance until the final plan can come forward. We meet with the citizens of the community, see if something can be worked out on a collective basis, and bring that to the planning and zoning.
They can't do final plans if they don't know what the zoning is.
Ms. Mullins, could you speak up, please?
I was going to say, they won't be able to do final plans unless they know the result of what the zoning is.
Exactly. There's no way to get to the final plans until we get the zoning done, sir.
Okay.
Would you mind withdrawing your motion?
I withdraw it.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance O-2022-007, rezoning lots 28 and 29 in the Lambs Retreat subdivision physically located at 102 Jeffrey Circle in the AB 282 Hockaday Survey, Henderson County, Gun Barrel City, Texas, from single-family detached residential R4 to general business B2.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion?
I've listened to everything that's been said tonight by the residents, and I got to tell you, I live on a cul-de-sac down on Pleasureland all the way at the end, so I completely understand what you're talking about with, people coming down there, turning around, but I don't have a big hotel out in front of my addition coming into it, so it's not the same. It's not apples to apples. What I want to do, and I hope we can do through this process, is discuss it. As I'm hearing what's being said, which is reasonable. If I lived there, I would absolutely want to know more. And I think that's what we're having a discussion about right now, is to get to the point to know that. So unless we're trying to say today that we're going to just say we're shutting it down, pulling the rug out, and saying we're not going forward with this project, I don't think we're doing that. Then the process should go forward by having these discussions. And definitely the developer meeting with the residents and allaying their fears and concerns, because everybody that's invested back there has an interest. We need to get to the point of getting the answers. But as Ms. Mullins pointed out, this discussion is the process to get to those answers. So again, for the purpose of furthering the conversation, I want to have the discussion, but I want to make sure that the residents are heard and that the steps are taken to make sure that we don't do anything that's going to devalue or take away from their quality of life. because I hear what you're saying, and from my end of the table, I hear what you're saying. Man, I don't want to invoke the Bible, but there for the grace of God, that could be my neighborhood next. I want to make sure that whatever decision we makes sure it takes care of y'all's concerns, because I wouldn't want to think that I spent all that time and invested in my retirement home or these things that y'all have talked about, because every word resonated with me. I'm going to be there, God willing, one of these days, and I want to make sure that where I have made my home that's going to be my forever home, which I've been here 26 years, just for the record, I want it to be just like what y'all are describing, and I can't possibly see us allowing something to happen that would take away from that quality of life. So again, to the point, I want to further this discussion or have this discussion, and this is the way to have it.
From the very beginning, when we looked at Pier 334, we were going to take into consideration all of your concerns. So that has not changed at all. And once we do get the plans, we will be reviewing those. We understand the traffic problem. That's been voiced to us many, many times. So believe you, I will take that into consideration too as we go through this planning process.
One last comment. Some of y'all made an invitation to come driving down there. I went down there this weekend because I wanted to see exactly what you're looking at, and nobody oversold it. That's exactly right. It's very, very limited space back there. So your point is well taken. I went and did my homework, and I completely understand where you're coming from. So again, without repeating what I said, I hear you. I want to make sure that we do this right.
I'd like to, I'm sorry, public hearing's already closed, folks. I would like to apologize because y'all have gotten a lot of bad information and a lot of bad influence. This project is nowhere near ready to start breaking ground and putting bricks up. We have a long ways to go. We have a very long ways to go with this project. So it's no, ma'am. No, ma'am. There will be more public hearings before we do anything else. There will be more things that go on. The item on the agenda tonight is simply to rezone the yes, ma'am. That is what's on the agenda. Ma'am, please. But the main concerns that I've heard tonight were about the access off of Jeffrey Drive. They were about the access into the development, and then there was others that was talking about the noise and the lights and things of that nature. I know in talking with the developer, noise and lights is one of those things that they really have worked on quite a bit in what the architectural plans by Hilton has been expressed to them. So I know a little bit about that. But I just want to reiterate that you got some bad information when you got that drawing. That was a preliminary drawing that, like Mr. Haynes explained, it's to start putting things together. And I know that he's already informed me that he's made some changes to that, and I'm sure there'll be more changes that'll be made to it as we go before we come back. But the next step in this, once we get through this, will be for them to come together with, as he said, he's going to speak with y'all and come together back to P&Z with a set of plans. So, okay. Anybody else have anything?
Well, I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Someone mentioned deed restrictions. Will that have any bearings on this?
I do not think so. I think, and deed restrictions?
We'll have to research it thoroughly, but
They'll have to be researched and looked at, so, yeah. I
It's
mean,
come up before.
we can't do anything that we can't do. If legally we can't do it, we can't do it. But, you know, we'll have to look at what the deed restriction says and where it applies and go from there, so. I'm going to ask y'all to quiet down, please. We've had the public hearing. We're into this now, so thank you. Any further comments from council? Vote for my right.
Foster, no.
Mullins, yes.
LaRue, yes.
Evans, no.
Y'all's yes.
Motion carries. Council, I would like to table item 4G and 4H. There's some documentation that there's a, what they call a ghost title. Is that right, Ms. Sikora? Yep, a ghost title, and they were not able to get that cleared up. So if I could have a motion to table 4G and 4H.
I'll make a motion to table 4G and 4H.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Vote for my right.
Foster, yes.
Mullins, yes.
Rue, yes.
Evans, yes.
Yawns, yes. Item 4I, discuss and/or take action to change the regular meeting time of the Planning and Zoning Commission meetings from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. as requested by the Planning and Zoning Commission. I have a motion.
I move to change the regular meeting time of the P and Z Commission from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. as requested by the commission.
Second?
City Manager?
I don't think we oppose that. It just changes the time, puts a little bit of stress on staff being here after hours. But if it's more convenient for them to provide a quorum and provide for more effective discussion, then we can support that.
I think it'll let the citizens be here a little easier, too,
Absolutely.
to have their input. Any discussion?
I think it may also broaden the pool of candidates that we get for volunteers, that we may get some people who actually work during the day and can come to the meetings at night.
That's true. That's a good point. Vote for my right.
Foster, yes.
Mullins, yes.
Rue, yes.
Evans, yes.
Yawns, yes. Motion passes. Motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. We are hereby adjourned.